Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignot. Each episode, I bring in a different business leader who's doing game-changing things. And this episode is absolutely no different. I am super delighted to have Lisa Smith, who's the CEO of Smith Company. She has a phenomenal life story and is just fantastic. Can't wait for you all to take a listen. Hey, Lisa.
Hello.
Lisa has no energy whatsoever, so just don't feel bad. It's going to be okay. She'll get a little bit more hyper as we go.
I'll rein it in. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. We're so glad to have you on the show. So as we were chatting, you have heard the episodes before, so you know what this first question is. Answers are always amazing. And so I'm sure yours will be no different. So Lisa, what was your first job?
All right. So I prepped for this because I have listened and I really wanted to have something great. So my first official job where the IRS took out money from a paycheck was actually at a place called TJ Cinnamon's. It's just like Cinnabon in the mall. Think about it. You're smelling it right now. I'm going to be making you hungry as you listen to this podcast. But I got to tell you, that's not my first official job.
Okay.
So by 10 or 11, I was babysitting. So, girl likes to hustle. So I've been hustling for a long time.
So cinnamon. So you and cinnamons. What did you do?
Made the cinnamon buns. I literally
was
made
the
girl
cinnamon buns. Okay, I mean,
the cinnamon buns.
How do you make proper cinnamon buns in a commercial setting? I know
how
you do it.
You need a lot of butter. You need a lot of butter. You need a lot of ingredients. You throw it in the oven. And here's the deal. After doing that, I wasn't there probably. I was there less than a year. Then I got some other, jobs, always in the food industry. I did not know why that happened. I literally could not eat cinnamon for 10 to 15 years afterwards because it gets in your pores.
Oh, God.
Yes.
That makes sense, though, because it's so easy to, get sucked into your fingers. Oh.
Everything, yes. Like, literally, you start sweating cinnamon. You're like, I'm done. You smell good, but you're like, nope, can't eat it. Can't eat it anymore.
Wow. I mean, also, going 10 years without a cinnamon bun seems like a crime.
Yes.
But okay, all right, I understand. You were traumatized.
Yep, traumatized. And it was something about high school. This is high school in the 80s. I'm dating myself. High school in the 80s, I wanted a job in the mall in Macy's, right? I wanted it. Right. No, girl couldn't get that. Girl had to do food. So I learned a lot. All
right, so you learned a lot. All right, so obviously you went from, being the queen of cinnamon buns to where you are now. I'm sure that's an incredible journey and life story. So let's share it.
Okay, I'm gonna start after cinnamon buns.
Cinnamon buns.
So very creative individual. Decided I wanted to be in design. So I went to my undergraduate degree has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. It's a Bachelor of Science of Interior Architecture, interior design. And so I practiced interior design for about 15 years in a variety of different industries. And what I found fascinating about that, and I think one of the things on the whole journey of my career, because it's going to get ready for some twists and turns, it's really about three things. It's about ideas, and it's about sales, and it's about mindset. And so, as a young designer, it was about creating things, but then selling those ideas to clients in order for them to realize their vision for whatever they were doing. Their retail store, their showroom, their office, their hospital, their clinic, all of these things. And I worked across those 15 years in those various industries. Then I decided, oh boy, DIY is on the rise and everyone's an expert. I am no longer seen as an expert. I really need to go back and understand the language of business. So I, in my 30s, went back and got my MBA, got my brain to unatrophy again, make it move and move that muscle. Woo, that was hard. And I
can only imagine.
Mid 30s, young family, and I'm in with all these 20 somethings who are surfing the net during their accounting class, right? Nope, that's not why I was there. So I got my MBA to then career shift into advertising. That's really what I wanted to do, marketing and advertising. So did that for 15 years, marketing, sales, advertising across a variety of different formats. I was a marketing manager. I worked in 2 or 3 different agencies, managing one. I worked in some specific sales. One was 100% commission. We can talk about that position. Learned a lot there, 100% commission sales. And then I was here in the cities and COVID struck and we were all trying to figure out what we wanted to do. I was in a sales position and I thought, this is crazy. And, when I got my MBA, I always wanted to have my own company. I am naturally entrepreneurial. I had a company, a design consultancy early in the late in the 90s. And I decided I'm going to do it again. This is the time. COVID's going to allow me to then leverage 30 years of a network all over the country, because now we can be virtual, right? We can work wherever we need to work. And so I hung my shingle in June of 2020 as a COVIDpreneur, and the rest is history.
A COVIDpreneur. I believe that's the first time I've actually heard that term used.
Yeah, I think I coined it. I need to go out and register that right away.
I think you absolutely should trademark that, like, for real.
Yeah.
And so where do you how do you position yourself now? Like, in the land of this universe, what do you say you are?
Okay, so I like to call myself a sales sleuth. So I work with other female leaders, BIPOC companies, mid-size, business to business, who want to grow. Their growth mindsets, like, okay, they're right at the mark and they want to get to 7 figures, or they're at 1 million and they want to get to 5, and they're just stuck. There's something in their sales process that just doesn't work. So I work with them to get them unstuck, find those blind spots in order for them to really increase their revenue. Because, girl, you and I both know that when it comes to these types of businesses, it's difficult for us to get capital and funding. It just is. So sales is the vehicle in order to grow and realize that vision. And it's a challenge. So my whole why, the reason why I started the company, was to help mid-sized organizations, particularly those female and BIPOC led, succeed, because we need them. They employ most of the employees. They are coming up with some of the best ideas. And so I want to see those businesses succeed.
And so, getting into this a little bit, like, so I think it's so important what you do. And because as a former entrepreneur, I mean, I'll always be an entrepreneur in my head and in my heart. Like, sales is so hard.
Yeah.
Now, because you're running a business, you can't keep the lights on, you're doing the service that you offer, and then you want me to go out there and tell people how awesome I am?
Right.
That's a lot.
Right. It's
so
a lot.
What are your, like, top 3 tips for folks who are trying to figure it out? And then I'll talk about how they can hire you just instead as well.
Okay, I love that. Okay, top 3. I'm gonna riff here a little bit. So I think the first one is that sales is a mindset. If you have started a business, no matter what you're doing, you are already doing some sort of sale. You are selling already, right? You're doing it. So instead of thinking about it as being this ugly 4-letter word, you're not a car salesman. It doesn't need to be that way. If you shift your mindset and just talk about or think about, doing more of what you do. But here's the key. Doing more of what you do for the ideal, for the people who really need you, like really laser focus in. Okay. So I guess this is a subset tip number 1. Pick a lane and stay in your lane. Stay super uber focused. Figure out that ideal. I found mine. Her name is Ingrid. I created a profile on her. She is the person that I am trying to attract. And I wrote down her characteristics. So now when I'm out networking or I'm talking to somebody and they say, "How can I help you?" I can say, "Yeah, I'm looking for Ingrid. Do you know Ingrid's?" Right? It really helps. And initially it's scary because it feels like you're going to be saying no to a bunch of opportunities, but in essence, it's going to make you much more efficient. Second tip, whatever you're doing, write it down. Write down the process you're using, because if you write it down, it then allows you to do it over and over again so that you're not reinventing the wheel every time, which is completely inefficient. And we all do it. I did it. And the second thing is you can measure what's working and what's not. So therefore, you test it over time. You're like, I should stop doing this activity. It is no longer making me revenue, right? It allows you to focus on your revenue and not spending time inefficiently where you don't need to be. Tip number 3, especially if you're a solopreneur like me, delegate as much as you possibly can as soon as you can. You're laughing, and Laura, you're laughing at it because
I know.
I hired an accountant. I hired a CPA. I hired a social media, coordinator. I am not good at those things. Those things are not going to make me money with my particular time. So I want to do things. I want to offload the things that I'm not good at, that I'm not efficient at, so that I can spend my time in value. Those to me are the top 3 things people can do to start to become much more efficient and much more successful.
So I think tip number 3 is so very important and so hard for entrepreneurs to actually do, because you're like, what? You want me not to handle the money? But it's my money. What's the thing that folks should try and shift their mindset about why it's okay to let somebody else handle your money?
Well, if you're not good at it, you should get
No,
someone
that's
who is
definitely-
better at it, because they're going to manage your money a hell of a lot better than you are, right? But I think you're right. You have the tendency of either being type A, so you want to control everything because that's what's made you successful. It's a strength and a weakness, right? But if you start to think about where you're driving revenue, if you're spending all your time analyzing your finances, you're not actually driving revenue, right? That's lagging. That's not leading. What you want to do, and typically entrepreneurs, even small companies or owners of companies, let's say 50 employees or less, they tend to be the face and the brand, right? So if you are the brand of your organization, unless you are in finance and you are running a financial company, spending time on your finances isn't going to actually earn you and your employees wealth. It's just about trying to understand where to focus your time. And I think it is difficult sometimes to let go of the reins and let go of that control. But at the end of the day, burnout's not worth it either. And when you're working 80-hour weeks, it's not worth it.
And I think it's that letting go is really is really a big part of it. So I remember, again, it was really hard for me to finally give in and did that. And I wish I'd done it sooner, because again, I could have been focusing on making actual money.
Sure.
So what happens when they've hired you, and how do you engage with them?
Sure. Oh, so I'd like to think, okay, here's my unique selling proposition, right? I think I'm very different. Here's what I don't sell. I don't sell a process. I don't sell a specific deliverable. What I do really, because I've spent 30 years seeing almost every problem in every economy you can think of when it comes to selling professional services, I like to learn what you are struggling with as an organization. So what we do initially is we have a deep dive. And I know discovery sessions are not new. That's not a new idea. But instead of prescribing what I think your problem is, I help you see what your problem is, right? I help visualize what those challenges and those sticky blind spots are. And then I allow my client to select what they want to prioritize first. And then we go work on that. Whether it's, better identifying an ideal target, or better segmentation, or working on their antiquated pricing model, or, getting better at upselling and retention programs or referral programs for their clients. Understanding really how to, maybe you need your sales training. You need to bring everybody up and train your sales, but I don't prescribe that. What I do is try to facilitate a dialogue with them, and maybe the leadership team, to say, where are you stuck? Let's shine a light in all those corners with all the cobwebs, to try to bring that stuff forward to allow you then to have agency to pick where you focus first. And it's been really successful.
Awesome. I love that, because again, it's like helping you get to the heart of the matter. It sounds like that's exactly what you do. So obviously the road for you has not been paved with golden lollipops.
No.
So I would love for you to share a time where you had a challenge and you're like, there's no way I'm getting through this. And then you did.
Yeah, challenge and failure. Why don't I talk about failure? Because entrepreneurs are, right? That's what everyone says. I love this about entrepreneurship. It's like, well, you're going to learn through the failure. Yeah, but when you're not paying your bills and you're losing revenue,
it sucks.
it's horrible. It's teeth grinding. It's not, I don't feel happy because I'm learning something. That's not how I feel, right? So I had a business where it was inventory based. I'm going to just leave it there. I think everyone is going to understand this model as I go through this. And learning it was a bit of a potential pyramid scheme, so I bought in. This is when I was getting my MBA, and I needed a business, and I thought, this is perfect. I can test some of these ideas. And so I bought in, hook, line, and sinker. I'm selling the stuff. It's going like gangbusters. But I made two really big, huge mistakes because I didn't know what I didn't know. Right? Everybody is in this situation. First of all, I did not account for the time it took to actually go through my inventory, market my time, do all the selling, do all the planning, all the admin time. I didn't take any of that back end, sunk costs into consideration. And so I thought I was making all this money because I was just looking at sales of the inventory, and I was losing my tuchus. And then I got to a point where I bought in to the point where tens of thousands of dollars in debt, tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And it was incredibly humiliating and embarrassing. And I basically told the leadership of the organization, I'm out. I can't do any more. You might think I'm a rock star, and sure, I can sell any of this stuff to anyone, but I can't do this financially for my family or for myself. This is not the way. You don't make money by losing money, by, having $10,000 plus on your credit card. That's not how you make money. So I got out, and then I crawled back out of that debt. And that, unfortunately, that debt cycle happens when you are willing to risk, right? So I was willing to risk. I didn't talk about that situation for years because it was embarrassing, and I was ashamed that I did that. But after having some time and space, and now thinking about that, much later, I look at that as like one of the best opportunities that ever happened to me. A, I learned a lot about sales. B, I learned about what not to do. There's healthy risk and there's not healthy risk, and I didn't understand where to say no. So I think some of the things that feel insurmountable are the things that are tied to finances. When those things are tied together and you fail, it's like a double, triple whammy. And I think that now I like to talk about it because, look, you can do it. I got back out. It did take a lot of time and sacrifice, but it wasn't the end of the world. And I can tell my clients maybe the warning signs of what not to do when they're looking at things that might be a little risky.
I love that, because I think, again, look, what's the acceptable form of risk that you can actually take for real for you versus somebody else? And no one should have the shame around it. I think a lot of it is because we don't talk about that.
We do not talk about it.
Especially women in business. It's like, oh, everything's fine. I'm on fire. Everything's fine. It's like, and often, I think oftentimes, the resources available to women entrepreneurs are different and are more challenging, especially when you're in a service-based business versus if you're a tech company. Like I'll never forget, I went to a dinner, and it was hosted by a tech founder, and it was like men and women who were founders at this dinner. And I happened to sit next to this woman, and she's talking to me, and we were talking about how challenging it is to be a female business owner. And she's like, yeah, she's like, I'm gonna have to go to my parents and help them cover my payroll for the first time in 5 years because I'm waiting on these clients to pay a bill, and so I'm really short. And I said, well, do you have a credit line? And she's like, what? I'm like, right. A lot of credit. And she's like, I don't even know what that is. And I was like,
yep.
Go the bank you have, the one that you've had since you were a little kid? She's like, yeah. I was like, then you need to go. And are your parents bank at that bank? She's like, yeah, we all do. I was like, you need to go to that bank on Monday and be like, either give me a line of credit or I will take all my money out, and I'll tell my parents to take all of our money out of here because this is ridiculous. You should have offered this to me 6 years ago when I started my business.
Right.
And about a week later, I got this enormous basket of goodies, and it was like beauty products. It was like athletic sweat because I was a PR woman. And she's like, I just want to tell you, you saved my business.
Oh.
And I was like, she's like, every time I look at my credit line, I'll think of you. And I was like, it's one of those things where it's like, we just don't talk about the stuff that's actually necessary to run our business. Or when we find out about that stuff, is after some bad stuff has happened. Which is always
exactly. You could not be more correct. Oh my gosh, sorry. Yes, you are so right about that. And I spend a lot of time talking about, in particular, finances and how you get funding and what funding is out there. And yes, absolutely, I'm with you. Line of credit's right out there. First of all, you have to be comfortable with actually having any kind of debt, right? You just have to start comfortable. But I want to circle back on something that you said, because she didn't even know what it was, right? And that the bank should have absolutely 100% have offered that to her. I think that there is also this, I think women, and I don't want to make it about gender, but I need to, because we live in a society where this is the reality. It was only in the 70s where a woman couldn't even have a checking account or a credit card in her name, right? It's not been that long, okay? My lifetime. Mm-hmm. So we have a different mentality about financing than men do. And we have been kind of molded to have that mentality. We're not as, we're very risk averse. We're not as aggressive. We're not comfortable with liability. I want that checkbook to hit zero. I want that balanced, right? I don't want to have a lot of debt if I can help it. And there's healthy debt, sure, there's mortgage and whatever, but those things are okay from a societal perspective. But when you're running a business, and someone says, are you going to take out a loan? And you're like, well, no, because A, I can't get one, and B, I don't want to have the debt. It's just really interesting. Again, it's mindset. And I just recently went through this. So I'm like, nope, 2.5 years into my business. And I'm like, nope, I gotta have everything lined up, but I couldn't grow because I had no capital. And finally I said, this is silly. This is ridiculous. I'm going to go find out what I can actually get. And then when I went to look, I was shocked.
How much was available?
Shocked at how many things that are out there that are actually there to help me as a female entrepreneur or help my clients as a BIPOC-led, company. Shocked. But they're like the best kept secret in town. Like, why are you guys not screaming from the rafters? I don't get it.
What's the thing? I mean, I think this is the thing. It's like, when you know about this stuff, share it out. I mean, I remember during COVID, there was solids about PPP loans, and I'm in all these like female founder groups. I'm like, here's information I just found. Here, go.
Yep.
Go apply for PPP. There's all this grant money. Like, go. And I think we just need to do a better job of sharing that information, because you're right. It's like, it is a mindset problem where why female businesses oftentimes have so much trouble is because we are told we have to do things a certain way, and dudes can do whatever they want, but women are supposed to be here. And it's like, well, no. I mean, I know plenty of male entrepreneurs who finance their businesses on credit cards, and the credit cards are happy to giving them special lines for this stuff, or certain banks where they can give them insane limits. Like, that stuff is out there. Like, all these credit card companies want these small businesses, and so they'll offer you the moon. And it's like, oh, really?
Right.
So I think it's just a matter of, one, sharing knowledge that we have, two, people not being afraid to say what is actually out there, and three, pay it forward. Like, I think this is a big part about, like, don't hoard that information. If you find out something, tell people. Share it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel now like I'm the banks. I am bank and a bunch of different funds. That I'm the best PR and marketing team they have, and I am not getting paid for it. Let me tell you, I absolutely agree. Shouting it from the rooftops. The more knowledge we can spread, the better we all are going to be.
It's absolutely true. So obviously, you're doing all this great work. You're like changing the game for all these amazing entrepreneurs. What does Lisa do for her self-care?
Oh, girl, not so good. It's, I think that I was, so combination. So I have one son, and he is a jazz performer, actually. He lives in Chicago. And so I'm an empty nester. And so we became empty nesters right at the same time COVID hit. So I got a little insular. But now that the weather, because I'm in the upper Midwest, now that the weather is finally, there's no snow on the ground, even though it's almost May. Now that the weather's getting a little bit better, I love to be outside. I love to be on a kayak. I love to be, out in nature, because I feel like I specifically don't listen to podcasts. I listen to your podcast in the car. not when I'm in nature.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yeah. Oh, no, girl. Oh, no. But not when I'm in nature. I specifically don't bring tech in nature so I can just be present and not be connected. And I think that the more time I can spend doing that, it's harder to do that in the winter because it's so effing cold. But that, to me, is great self-care. And, I'm trying to eat better and fuel my body with better things. But it's hard. It's hard. And, at 50, I would like to think that I'm better at it than I really am, but I'm not. It's a constant struggle to have a balance and make sure that I am taking care of myself.
Well, it's the effort that I want folks to always do too. And so I'm a big proponent of having your day, whatever day of the week that is, and it just being about you. So if it's like in nature, you're in nature all day. If you're at the spa, you're at the spa all day. But try and find a day for you and make it this day. Oftentimes it's just like the easy way to kind of ease your way into self-care, because we know it's not easy. We all and life be lifing. So so it's challenging, and you just have to be aware of all that stuff.
Sure.
And otherwise,
you raise a good point, though. You raise a good point. Like, if you put it on the calendar, you be planful about it, right? Like, you declarate your time and say, this is it, I'm going to do this, and it's more likely to get done.
Without question. And I think especially when you're an entrepreneur, like, you think that you're trying to find a way to squeeze 27 hours out of a 24-hour day. Like, that's not going to happen. But what you need to do is make sure that you are finding those times for yourself and prioritizing rest, because, if you don't put the oxygen mask on first, how are you going to help anybody else?
Yep. 100%.
it's a necessary part of the whole shebang. So, yeah, looking back on all the awesome stuff you've been able to do, what do you think you tell 18-year-old Lisa?
Oh, it's so interesting that you asked that question. And I know that there's a Netflix show coming out. What would you tell your 22-year-old self? And I've been thinking about that a lot. And I think, I think two things. I think, just let it go. It's going to be all right. It'll work itself out. Like, just let it go. I think I learned that lesson through COVID. Like obviously none of us could plan anything. Like I really had to just trust if I put the right effort and the right energy into the universe, it was going to work out. So I think I would tell her it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. You don't have to worry and stress out so much. You're working hard and it will pay off. And I think the other thing that I would tell her is that, girl, you better enjoy your body because at 50, it's going to look a lot different. I think I would have told her, it's like, just go wear the low cut stuff, the high cut stuff, the tight stuff, the loose stuff. Go wear all the stuff because it is not going to be the same when you hit your 50s. Okay. So just go do it. That's what I would have told her. Yes. Enjoy.
Now, ma'am, you know, it don't matter what it is. You can still wear those outfits. Just wear.
I know, but it's the way you feel when you wear them. Then, listen, 18, okay, we had it going on at 18. All right. So you just got to enjoy it while you, yes, I enjoy it now. It's just different.
Okay. I was just saying, like, you better wear that outfit. So I get it. Okay, cool, fine. So last question for you. Do you have a give and an ask of the audience?
Oh, I love that. Well, okay. So if you are currently an entrepreneur or you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, you should hit me up. I love talking to young businesses, emerging businesses, growing businesses, because to your point earlier about paying it forward and like getting it out there, my goal, my why, the reason why I get up in the morning every day and do what I do is because I am really trying to help. I really want us to thrive and survive. So, if you're thinking about it, I have a free 30-minute call. You can find me on my website, smithcous.com, or, follow me on, Smith Co Sales. And, I want to spend time learning about you and thinking about you because I want to be a success for you. And if I could pass one thing on that changes the way you're thinking about your business, like line of credit and look, you got that goodie basket and you changed her life. That's what makes it real for me. Paying clients are great too, but that's what really makes it real.
I love that. And we will put all the details in the show notes for folks to have that 30-minute chat and then hire you. So because like, let's be real, it is a business, not charity. Lisa, you are so chock full of amazing advice and you know exactly what's up at the moment. And I think that you're going to help a lot of really awesome entrepreneurs find their way. And I am so delighted we were able to have you on the contest today.
Oh, thank you. It's been a joy to spend time with you. Praise to you. You're doing a lot of great stuff. So thank you so much for all you do as well.
Oh, thank you so much. As I said, we'll put all details in the show notes for you to sign up for a free 30-minute call with Lisa. And follow her on the social medias as well. And that is our show.